You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the meta. The meta controls everything. The meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching The Meta Show.
What's up, everyone, guys? Welcome back to the Meta Show. We have a pretty exciting week of stuff inside EVE Online to talk about today, and we have the always animate Dabigredboat to help discuss it with us today. And
the always animate. Is it just called animate?
Animate and animated.
It's a good way to.
It's a good way to talk about.
Sorry, it's
I'm from Georgia, guys. Come on.
Yeah. Words.
Words are hard. So, guys, as always, I have myself, Laz here, the Mittani, our beautiful red-shirted co-host. Or no, it would be beautiful. We're taking the endings out of every word. And
I almost got my red shirt out, but figured Mittens had all the red shirt we needed.
What, is it a parachute?
I mean, there's really never enough. That's hilarious. When you actually really start jumping around like that boat, like on stream, I can see like the chroma key, just like this haze of excitement above you.
Boat has really weird lighting, and HypnoKitty's broken. Where's the button for it? There it is. All right, we're good. Fixed.
I have great lighting. It's just the stupid headset's green, so I can't use a green screen because it looks invisible. It makes my head go invisible.
That's true.
And so I have better lighting, but the chroma key ends up being hard to play with. So if it's not perfect, it like hates me. Like I get these like studio lights, but they don't always light up the green screen well enough.
It looks like
they do it too much.
Laz is going to get a pass, according to chat, because Diesel1975 is pointing out that he's seen snow today on the East Coast and possibly even in Georgia, and that as a result he's just going to be in a state of terror and confusion. It's kind of a...
Let's go with that. There's no snow here, but we'll just go with that. Let's roll with it.
Okay.
Give me an excuse. There we go.
That's our excuse. That's excellent.
I think I fixed this chroma key.
So I gotta gear up. We've got a fair amount of shit to talk about today. Like it's kind of nice. Like it's been a fairly heavy drama week in EVE. It's been a fairly heavy conflict week at EVE. And what was it? Just right after last week, we started things off with. Actually, do we want to go into like space conflict first, or should we talk about? Let's talk about the new EVE held up first. Let's go with that first and get that out of the way. So as of literally like an hour ago, we who are helpers to bring transparency and accountability to the world of EVE Online, we in the Imperium have added on goonfleet.com EVE Helldump, which is a publicly accessible forum for everybody. That's visible to everyone. All you have to do, you don't even have to have a goonfleet.com account to read it. I'm going to go ahead and post that here in the chat so you can see it. And people have been talking about how they miss Kugu and they miss a place like that, and it hasn't really happened. We don't know whether it's going to work, but you are welcome to come to gloriousgoonfleet.com and go to that subforum that we just linked there and try your luck against our best shitposters. So I'm pretty excited about that. After watching the hijinks in Tweetfleet Slack recently, I think Helldump will have some legs.
So basically, they have to go compete against my corporation.
Yeah, pretty much.
For the worst posters.
For the worst posters.
I thought it's going to be pretty hilarious. So it is interesting. So talking about Tweetfleet Slack, we had today we were going to have Ashtarothi, who is the I always mangle his name. I don't know if that's the appropriate way to pronounce it.
Is he the creator or just the head mod?
He is he isn't the owner of Tweetfleet Slack. He is the head mod there. So originally, Tweetfleet Slack was created by Fuzzy Steve, who's Steve Ronukin, who's on the CSM currently. But Ashtarothi was going to come on because we've had all these hijinks on Tweetfleet Slack, and there was a little bit of a drama flare-up, and we wanted to have him on as a guest to sort of talk about the platform, how he sees it growing, or what have you, because we have changed things radically. There was a little bit of a Gorski car drama bomb, which
well, before we jump into that, guys, a quick shout out to Nanok Hellingsi with the new subscription. Thank you so much, buddy. Also, Iceburn with the 14 months. Wow, 14. That's over a year, guys. Unless you were
getting old,
unaware that 12 months are in a year, 14 is a year and 2 months, just to let you know. And also, I am so terrible at EVE with the 5 months resub. Luminal Flux with 8 months. And I think that's it before he has broke HypnoKitty. All right, we're good. We're good. So, guys, thanks so much for your support of the channel. Really appreciate it.
So does HypnoKitty work again? Like
it's working again. And as I say that, he'll defer with 11 months in a row.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of supporting channels, we mentioned this again last week, but Laz is making a play at going basically full-time and is sort of our first like TMC alumni. And, you know, he's obviously hosting the Meta Show, but has his own Twitch channel, and we're going to do our damnedest to make sure that he gets as many followers and as much support as he possibly can. So, Laz, why don't you drop a link into chat here? Yeah, there we go. Awesome.
Just said.
So, everybody, please follow Laz's own channel. And, you know, our vision here is that as people spend time on TMC honing their chops basically on this channel, that they can then, if they have an opportunity to go full-time, that we'll just push behind them as hard as we can to end up with a whole long network of, you know, sort of an extended family, a Twitch team. So that's awesome. So let's dive into it, I think. Are we ready for some Space War? Is that where we're going to go?
Definitely. Just swap into the nullsec power hour, guys. I guess to kick things off, last Saturday, right after the Meta Show, there was a 1,000-person brawl in lowsec. You had Northern Coalition, Pandemic Legion, and Project Mayhem all grouping up, facing off against the Imperium. Let me see if I can pull that link up real quick, and I'll place battle report in chat there, guys. Looks like the Northern Coalition and Project Mayhem and all their allies they brought in for this POS timer. Which important thing there is still to point out that all these fights are still over POSes, not in Tosasing.
Yes.
So,
and which will be something that we end up talking about with the D2 TCU hijinks and like people avoiding Intosa's gameplay. This was a hilarious fight though, because I mean, here we had a situation where what happened was the CO2 and Bastion guys actually, CO2 Bastion and Lon baited out NC Dot's suicide dreads. They claimed suicide dreads in the north and basically put them out on the field and then just obliterated them. It was a relatively one-sided affair. I mean, I guess it's not completely one-sided. I mean, 20 to 50 in terms of billions of damage, but it was interesting to see that kind of commitment all the way around. And then there was just more murder. I mean, shortly after that, and when was the how many days ago later was the Dread Bomb? So that happened just after the Meta Show. And
then you talking about the one in Once Meb in Socked area?
Yes, that was January 18th. Yeah. So just 2 days after that, and this has been a pretty busy week. So and this actually felt like it was a long way away. But this Once Meb thing, I thought it was like, did we talk about this last week? Was this? They got Dread Bomb. The same people. NC Dot ended up getting losing a couple Titans, a few super carriers, and there's just massacre in Once Meb from Loseknaya Shalupen, or however the hell you say their name.
Yep. You know what's amazing about that?
Well,
the Ragnarok in one of the Aeons was PF Persilis Calistratus, or PK.
PK.
Yes.
Wait, PK?
It was probably Poison Kevin. I thought it was Poison Kevin.
That's Poison Kevin. Yes,
I was
PK
say
something. I was
PK's and PL.
Wrong PK. Sorry. But anyways,
there we go.
Yeah, it was one of their like downtime FCs or something. It was just he lost both of them.
We keep actually managing to destroy HypnoKit. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's fixed now. It's good. It's good. You'll see it in a minute.
Oh, I said I didn't break anything.
Yeah, we're gonna blame everything on you today, Boat. Just
oh wow, we just got a donation.
Did we now? We can't really see that. It looks like a HypnoKitty was bribed by HippoJacks, but I'm not actually sure we can actually see what it is because
yeah, it says I want to seem relevant. Follow Laz on Twitch.
Wow, Hippo, come on, man, come on. That's not cool, bro.
That's brutal. I feel guilty now. Okay. So I'm looking, people are like doing some random copy and paste spam of things in chat. I'm trying to like figure out what's going on there. We're going to be a little bit more informal here today, guys, on the Meta Show because, you know, we did have all of this planning for our guest and we're going to do this 30-minute segment and then we sort of dragged Bode in here at the last minute. So if you want to kind of go nuts and chat and we will take questions and things like that. This Jasper person seems to be saying that I'm not instrumental in the, like, I imagine that somebody wrote something mean about me somewhere on the internet and they're going to be copying and pasting that and looking for me to comment upon it. So
they're reaching way back with the whole Band of Brothers thing. That's all right. You keep on your crusade, Jasper, bro.
I'm I'm gonna go cry in a corner. I got nothing. Well, while I'm going to go cry in the corner, let's go ahead and continue to talk about NC losing capitals, which is one of my favorite topics in general, but it's sort of a brutal thing now. I think that Boat has actually been paying a lot of attention to, well, do we want to talk about D2 or do we want to talk about I Want ISK?
I think D2 will be quicker, and then because I think I Want ISK might take a little while because there's meta stuff that you'll go into tirade, and everyone knows how this ends up.
There'll be a rant, and it'll take forever. So the funny thing about so what happened in D2? I mean, Boat, were you there for that?
No, I wasn't. I heard the story from Jay Mages, though.
Okay, so I come back to Jabber because I was dealing with something else, and I take a look, and K-Color and Jay Basiness are like, yeah, sorry, guys, like, we lost Sov in D2. And I'm like...
I started flipping out when I woke up this morning. You gotta be kidding me.
And so at first I think they're trolling because obviously they'd have to be trolling. So I go and I check Dotlan, right? Like instead of like biting on the troll and going like, what is this? What could this be? I check Dotlan, and sure enough, I'm watching the campaign for the attackers on the D2, which is our staging system currently in Pureblind. I'm watching the attackers like number go up, and that sure enough we're going to lose this TCU. And I'm like, how is this? What is this? And then they let me have it for a bit, and then they revealed that not only had we killed something like 15 billion ISK or 16 billion ISK worth of like this group of low site guys got together, like Dead Terrorists and Exodus and a couple of other randoms got together and brought slaved pods into nullsec, which is always a good idea. But this is an interesting illustration of one of the I'm not necessarily sure I want to call it a failure of the FozzieSoft system, but with a TCU, to online a TCU, it takes you 10 minutes, and you press one button and then onlines. And the TCU is only destroyed or replaced within the single system. But the contest for FozzieSoft is whack-a-mole across the Constellation battle space. So what we ended up doing was basically just sort of letting the people who turned up play Sawblazer games. Like, oh, you want to hack a bunch of nodes? We're going to sit here and let you do that. And then they hit them with a sledgehammer, dropped supers on them to sort of twist the knife and get extra humiliation. And so after the TCU popped immediately, there was a GSOL guy, dropped a TCU, pressed a button, 10 minutes later, we had soft back. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, have you ever seen or heard of something like that?
Yes, Russians in the south, not Stain Russians, but the other side, ex-death Russians, they were using that with Archons. What they would do is an iHub would come out, they'd let these people run around and kill it, so it would take them an hour and a half. They would force fights in certain systems to get the win. They would kill all their subcaps. As soon as the iHub was finished, they would just drop a new iHub and park 13 Archons on it. Have all 13 Archons and Tosis it, so there's no way you can kill all those Archons quick enough without caps, and they won't drop caps against X-Death, and then they undo iHub goes online, system's theirs again.
Yeah, well, in regards to TCU though, like it's what 100 mil for a TCU.
Oh yeah, it's
yeah.
cheap.
I mean, an iHub can be dangerous, right? I mean, iHub, if you lose that, you lose your strategic index, right? So that's like 2x off your ADMs are gone, right? So you need to defend the iHub, but like if you're doing TCU defense, like there are two options, right? Either so actually there's three options. Option one is play the game as intended and run around and play Cosmic Whack-A-Mole and rep all these nodes for your TCU and expend how many man hours across your fleets to be able to handle this. So you can either play the game the way you're supposed to. You can wait for node decay to kick in. If your attackers don't turn up, you just don't engage at all, and they naturally repair themselves, and who cares, right? Or now, as a TCU defense, now remember, there's only 3 levels of FozzieSoft gameplay: TCU, iHub, and Station. And so now for TCU as a defender, it's essentially completely optional. You do not need to ever engage in the actual Entosis gameplay. The Russians figured this out a while ago, and apparently we're only just now getting the memo because we're dumb and bad. But why would you, as a TCU defense, play command node whack-a-mole when you can just go, okay, whatever, it's 100 million ISK, it takes no effort, hold the one system, throw it down. If you guys wanted to hack it and go through the effort, that's great. I can't envision a situation in which the Imperium would ever engage in a supposedly honest, quote, honest, unquote, TCU defense rather than just hack it if you want and bullets drop it.
It depends on if you actually have the strength to hold the grid throughout the TCU and defend it.
Right.
If you have that strength and you can just hold that one grid, then fuck it. Like there's no reason. There's actually literally zero reason to actually go and fight for it. Yeah. But quick shout out to Nanok with the $10 and Fox Sales for the sub. The $10 said this is for the boot, $10 for a boot at the next Madison Feb meet.
Oh,
nice.
That's right.
So-
At the end of the month, we're going to have our. And also, speaking of Madison Meets, we just had a couple days ago on the third Thursday of every month. And we're thinking about moving it to Fridays or Saturdays just because of the chaos. Some people I know want to come down from other cities and things like that. And coming down on Thursday might be a little difficult. But, we went from like 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. at the Atomic Way at Fitchburg. Obviously, we weren't entirely there for the entire time. There was club after the first bar, and then we went to Burrito Drive to, it's sort of like Nani's, but the Madison equivalent of Nani's is Burrito Drive, and it was pretty awesome. But
let's see. Well, quick in chat, can aggressors beat us to planting a TCU? Yes, but then you just go kill them.
Yeah, I mean, so in the case of this morning, when we dropped our own TCU, we probably had a capital and Tosis it. Everyone can rep it until these new cap changes come in April or June or whenever the new cap changes ever appear. We could just use one carrier to rep it, and everybody gets ready to rep that carrier if he gets into any kind of danger. And the only way they're going to get into danger on a carrier is if they drop caps. We had so many capitals on field that it was just no risk.
I think the thing is that like TCUs are meaningless. Like they're just a flag, right? And there's like a 20% fuel bonus or whatever. So like with an iHub, you really need to defend it because there's actually there's ADMs are keyed off of that. There's upgrades and things like that. And it's just this sort of weird reverse of Dominion, where in Dominion stations and TCUs mattered a lot, and iHubs were nice, but they were important because of cyanojammers if it was a jam system. But now you have a situation where TCUs are just not really a factor in the game at all. iHubs matter more than stations because the stations, you got the whole Freeport mechanic. The Freeport mechanic actually means that there's far less risk of losing fights because taking a station takes so much longer and it gets freeported and then you can unfreeport it and blah blah blah. So it's just kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, so let's see. Next up on the list, I guess do we want to keep going talk about e-fights, or we want to jump into the I Want ISK debacle?
Well, I think before we get into that, in chat I'm seeing people spamming stuff about Darius Johnson's article, which is something we should probably address.
Yeah, he also just posted an AMA within the last hour. Yes.
Really?
He calls it the Darius Johnson EVE history now that his NDA is over. And he posts this like really long ass post.
Oh God. Okay.
This is definitely a Darius Johnson thing to do.
It sounds like
it's really weird that everybody is going after like all this RE stuff. Yeah, that is a huge pile of words.
And he's also saying how great Reddit is in this post. I'm like,
Let's
what?
see. All based on false pretenses. The story is still good. Mittani just really didn't do that much of a time. That's interesting. It's funny because he posted this Crossing Zebras article, and we reached out to him because he's accusing Scion of making real-life threats. And sort of what I thought happened with the Scion thing is that he had heard about the supposed Blarf drama, right? So a couple of weeks ago, we had, I guess it was in mid-December, there was a situation where Blarf McTaggart accused Scion of making real-life threats, and that spawned a whole bunch of like Reddit hate mobs to go after him, at which point Blarf was like, you know what, I overreacted, I'm sorry, it wasn't actually a real life threat, I was whatever. And that was pretty much the end of that. And I think what happened here is that he might have seen this and is all mad about it, and I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing. I'll have to read all, oh my God, I'm actually not going to read all this. That is a lot of fucking words.
Yeah, it's a lot of words.
And he's saying, I'm not a big fan of Reddit itself, creeper pics, all this, and that is a lot of fucking words. Okay, well, whatever.
And also, apparently, Scion's a scary man. K-Color called him the Antichrist yesterday. It was great.
Wow.
K-Color's like, are you the Antichrist? You seem to cause everyone to hate you.
I think Scion gets a lot of blame that should actually be directed at me.
And they think he's the boss.
That is actually
weird, yeah.
The funniest things that I saw. So like Matterall, let me see if I can dig this up. This is actually a good article that Matterall wrote on Eve News 24 before he came over to TMC. I'll have to go dig it up, but somebody else can Google it. Where he's talking about where he finally meets me. He's like a trip report from, he's at Eve Vegas, and like I talked to him for the first time. And he was like, I had always thought that Scion was actually like the power behind the throne because Mittani's just like this figurehead and he's up there running his mouth on the meta show. And he was surprised to discover that this is apparently, I mean, who am I to say as the figurehead? Maybe I'm just out here and I'm going to say whatever. But apparently the perception was that I don't really do anything. And so I think that's why people are going after Scion. Either they don't want to go after me because I'm mean and I'll go after them on Tweetfleet Slack or call them out on the meta show, which I've done many times before. He might seem like he's an easier target, or maybe what's happened because we don't really spend too much time talking to a lot of our foes at the line level. I mean, we spy on their leadership, but we don't really talk to like the line perception of people in random hostile alliances. Is that they actually do think that Scion is the guy and that he's doing all these things and that he's the real enemy.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is because when it comes to goons, he never talks. Like you'll hear him talking to Loom, and he'll talk in Elysium recently, but before Elysium, I would never see Scion anywhere. Right? He was always too busy, and he was behind the scenes. So it's like in the Imperium, no one had any idea what Scion did. It was Mittens is the boss and everything, and then on the outside, it's the opposite. It's like Mittens is just the voice, and Scion's the real boss. You know?
Well, one of the things about him. So from a political perspective, and this is kind of a theme that we see recurring over and over again, is the idea of and it's an attack that you use in the political meta, and we do it all the time, and it's called good king, bad vizier, right? And the idea when you're saying, so for example, like with, like maybe with the Brave Newbies coup example, right? Mm-hmm. You would say, oh, well, Licton is actually really a good guy, and he's really a good leader. It's just that his lieutenants, like the Scions in his organization, are, those guys are leading him astray. Because when you attack a leader, people get sort of upset about it and they rally around behind the leader and things like that. But normally you can go, I'm going to go after his lieutenants. I'm going to say that he's got bad advisors and that all these things that are bad are not his responsibility. The only problem with the good king, bad vizier thing is that when people go after Scion, I'm like, yeah, these things that you're mad at Scion about are actually all shit that I've done. He doesn't really do anything without my direction. I mean, except for the stuff that's just made up.
Oh, is there an origin? Scion has the best hair on the CSM.
Oh, I saw a great one. Speaking of CSM and Scion, the hate towards Scion, it's like, I guess, some elite PvPer in LowSec from PL is running for CSM, and they're like, oh, finally a good EVE person that's on the CSM. He's going to surely make things better. It's like, don't you forget that good EVE person does not equal good at convincing CCP to do what you say. So just because Scion doesn't really play EVE doesn't mean he doesn't get shit done. And people seem to be confused by that.
Because I don't get anything done ever because I don't play EVE. In fact, I'm notorious for never playing EVE. Except for, that's another thing that's weird, is that like I'll actually like be in fleets and doing things, like I'm not constantly in fleet every day because that's ridiculous, right? It would be a waste of my time to be doing that because I've got to deal with all this other org work that we do. But like people like are like these perceptions that people have bought into are so persistent until recently, subtle segue, we got into Tweetfleet Slack, which is where a lot of this Gorski car drama kicked off, and things got really hilarious because now these guys who had these sort of ideas of how goons behaved and what we were and whatever that have been kind of sheltered from us are now actually encountering our guys every day in like Tweetfleet General, and they're like raging out and they're trying to spew memes and they're crying to moderators about how we're mean. And now they've actually kind of like given up. Like Gorski just announced the other day that he's left General. A couple of other people are like, well, Tweetfleet Slack has been ruined because of goons. Because I can't downvote them away, and they just, sort of, it's this, it's clutching at pearls of, I've got to case the vapors, right? Oh my god. Oh, will somebody please get these goons away? I think I'm going to faint. And
that's a normal voice, by the way, guys.
Yeah, that is pretty much my normal voice. This is actually just, this is my fake.
That's his voice when he's in bed.
$5 from Sherrar, or sorry, $5 from Donald Trump, saying he's not actually he's not racist. He's just a really bad speechwriter. Thanks, Mr. Trump.
Thanks, Donald Trump.
Jesus. It's always nice to see. It's sort of like a race to the top, and we have a recent bribe and bigger bribe or what have you. That people thank you for supporting the stream. I do appreciate that. It is really funny that we've got almost always as Donald Trump as number one. Maybe we should have like a donation war. There's a coffee shop that I go to, and this is genius. This has nothing to do with EVE, but they have 2 tip jars, and every week they have a label on each tip jar, and you vote by tipping them. So like in one it was like Bert or Ernie or whatever. Do you like Superman or do you like Batman? And people just do that, and I'm like, wow, that's clever. Because I found myself tipping just to say this is better and I approve of this more. What's worse, David Bowie dying or the horrible weather? It's like I will throw money at David Bowie. Okay,
yeah,
opinion has been heard. I guess I don't know.
Plays on people because the other day we were doing the boat show. We were talking about tipping, I had one of the 4 guests, because they were having a little contest. Apparently, someone didn't like him, and so he kept tipping $5 just to say "fuck you, I hate you." For like $60.
Oh my!
And I told the guest, he's like, "Oh man, so many mean words." I'm like, "Dude, stay active, be mean, keep throwing your money at me. I'll take your money all day if you're gonna say not mean things." So it's kind of hilarious when stuff like that happens.
Whatever works, man. I don't know. I mean, speaking of throwing money at things, we should also, in a less than subtle segue, like, Bo, do you want to talk about the I Want Is drama? Because like that's kind of a whole thing.
From what?
Oh, we are going to talk about PFR. Don't worry. Like somebody's asking any opinion about the breakup of PFR, and I need to actually make a note here on our little thing. We're going to talk about PFR and Aquarius, PFR and Brave and Aquarius.
Yeah. So
and Boat. I Want Is. Let's hear it.
the I Want Is thing is interesting because the more you read about it, the more you get confused, especially when you listen to all the sound cards, right? So when you hear it from SMA, it's like, well, we were in Iwanisk and we stole all their money and we moonwalked out and Iwanisk is mad. And we've now taken it to CCP and they're RMT'd and it's like, that's the SMA side of it. And the other side of Iwanisk is, well, SMA's RMT'ing and they were in Iwanisk to RMT and now we're going to go after them because they stole our money and it should never have happened that way. And so the rumor is now is that you have Iwanisk getting anyone they can with their money, which I don't think their money is that big to begin with anymore, throwing their money at people to go after SMA over this drama, and SMA's going, okay, cool, we took your $200 billion, who cares?
Well, one of the things about it, like, you know, I know that Tissue and Snuffbox, I think not so much Snuffbox, but mainly Tissue, after like having bad things done to them in LoSec and having worse things done to them on the field of battle of Tweet Fleet Slack, went to go use Black Ops drops to gank a bunch of SMA Ratters in Fade over the last week. And then I think Theta Squad from the Imperium kind of came in and stopped that. I'm not actually sure, except I saw a lot of smug from Theta, and if you're getting beaten on the field by Theta, if that's actually true, which I don't know, then
it's true, yeah.
Oh,
it's
wow.
true. Fate's pretty safe place. I haven't seen much. Like you went like from like 2-week period where like pretty much every other day it was an SMA post by Tissue about what they've done. You know, look at all these carriers we killed. Look at the system not getting ratting done. I haven't seen anything in at least 4 or 5 days.
Well, that's really. If we're wrong, if it is actually true, like if it isn't true, and that SMA is still getting the shit ganked out of them by Tissue or something like that, presumably people would be very angry in chat and rush.
Well, according to Atrium, Tissue just stopped showing up.
Yeah, that's what like the 3rd day in, Tibrizzle was like, yeah, we're done. We won.
Well, they don't like resistance. I mean, that's the thing. It's the problem with low-sec entities in general, and along with a lot of, like, not the serious top-tier elite PvP entities, but, like, lower-tier elite PvP entities, is they have glass jaws, right? Like, the thing is, if your identity is tied to being so awesome, especially if you spend a lot of time perfing lots of blurfs in public, right? Like, if you're going out there on our eve and having circle jerk threads about how awesome you are and downvoting the pain away, the moment that you actually get, like, punched in the dick, then these guys will just break and fuck off. Like when we'd fight NC Dot and what's his face, Travis would like lose 3 fleets. It'd be like, oh, Travis is doing a deployment. Like you kill 3 of his fleets and then he's gone. And so I guess that's what happened here. That's a thing.
Yeah. So $10 from Mr. McCabe, Scooter McCabe, saying, "Here's 10. You can't downvote this post."
You can't downvote my donation. Yeah. That's awesome. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like we've heard rumors that, I mean, it has been rumored, but it hasn't been confirmed that Iwanisk was trying to pay money to Tissue to do this. And I mean, if so, I mean, it's rare that people actually do something that dumb. But you know, Gevlin Goblin has done it with Moa for a while, so you can never really predict human stupidity. But if that's actually happening, then that's goddamn hysterical.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bad investment too, because I would see if you're going to pay that much, which the rumored money is huge. If you're going to pay that much, that's more than anyone's ever been paid in EVE to do something, right? Even the old PL being paid by death wasn't even $100 billion a month, if that, and that was not even end up being real. I mean, that came out to be just fake money.
A lot of these people talk about mercenary payments, and it doesn't really happen. Like I've only ever issued mercenary payments 2 times in my entire CEO-ship, and I think one was. I think we threw somebody in HiSec some money as a test, like to possibly to Marmite or one of the other like ganking organizations once.
Yeah.
But Goldsnake has been bribed. Shut up, Scooter McCabe. Thank you for the donation.
There's another one right after that from Donald Trump. We used up all tissues with all of the tissues with their tears. Thank you, Mr. Trump.
Oh my.
Oh man.
You know, it's sort of nice to go like full blown Voice of the Imperium because like we can just be like, you know what, rather than being all very serious space CNN. I think it's better that way. Did I, as an Argent's asking, did I just call Travis and NC Dot lower tier? Well, Travis definitely, yes, actually. They're usually, if I'm more, you know, I see PL on the field, I'd be more concerned about the PLFCs than Travis Muskrat. Vince is pretty good, but he hasn't been active in a while. So
Yeah, I haven't seen Vince. He was supposed to come back in October, and I've never materialized.
Yeah, so Kavath in chat also says he's a member of Tissue and that they were paid 500 mil per corpse we collected. That was SMA.
Wait, do they actually pay for corpses? Because I mean, that's weird.
That would be funny.
I mean, it's funny, but it's weird because I mean, I want to ask these guys if that's true. Then those guys are like they're not really focusing on the bottom line, right? They should be paying you for a lost mail past a certain point. But if they're paying 500 million for a corpse, that means you got to gank somebody and then stick around and hold the field to be able to like loot the corpse and hand in the. So sort of like a weird fetishistic like thing. Who does that? I've never heard of anybody. I've never heard of anybody paying a bounty for a corpse.
All I got to say about that is if anyone wants to go 50-50 with me, I will pay all at SMA, and I'll let you kill me repeatedly as long as you give me 250
where's
of your 500
SMA
mil.
at, man? They should just undock pods.
Wild is saying we love you and
pods.
also vote Wild for CSM. So thank you, Wild.
Thank you.
We appreciate
They should undock pods. Just get podded thousands of times. That's what
I would totally do that.
under a couple hundred billion right there, right?
All you got to do is make friends with a guy in Tissue, and you just farm 1 million corpses, and you split it 50.
Oh
There
yeah,
you go. Like do it in tranches and things like that. And all of it is.
It's the Noisy Gamer says, okay, so I want Isk is worse than Gavlon, which Noisy is typically the voice for RMT.
Yeah,
See, I don't understand.
That's basically true. Is that
how does iWantIsk even make money anymore? They used to be I think a stream service like Iron Bank, but I know like they pretend to be some big banking thing. But like with Kevlon, his money, you know what his money is. He does freightering. It's a set amount of money each month. He can't go over that. But with iWantIsk, it's like their money is fake. Like I don't know how they get their money. Or how they get so much money that they claim they have, you know?
Well, gamblers, RMT, like the idea is that in general, all you have to do, the gambling sites make tons of money because they're not really interacting with people's real gameplay. So one of the things that happened with Summer Blink, and the reason why Summer Blink was such an effective thing, and this is not me throwing shade. I mean, we in Goonswarm tried to make the Evening Games Club, and because we didn't know enough about development at the time, it failed. Right, we didn't support it. We didn't have an effective enough developer team, and you know, we've learned the hard way a lot of things about app development, which is why we're working on the Imperial Developers Group. And if you are an Imperial developer, look for a recruiting ping soon.
Well, I mean,
but you know, people will with Summerblink and with iWantIsk, where all this money comes from is the price of Plex is so high, guys, and people who are gamblers. That if they can't get their fix at a casino, they will take money out of their wallet, buy Plex, and convert it into ISK because they don't care about the ISK, they care about the fix, the dopamine rush that comes from gambling.
Yeah.
So,
that's. I mean, one of the big things to point out about the iWantIsk and SMA stuff that was in the article is it points out that iWantIsk was giving better odds to certain people. Like certain people had a better chance to win.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, they were fixing the games. Like so, like you'd be gambling, but it was fixed.
Yeah, Iron Bank was doing that too.
That's right.
What Iron Bank would do is this way CCP came out with that policy that you can't do giveaways for ISK or in-game items with subscribers only. Because what happened was that like Iron Bank would have subscriber only ISK giveaways. So people would subscribe like crazy, 1,000 subscribers, so they're making $2,000-$3,000 a month, but then they're giving away the ISK they bought with Plex. So they would take that money, buy a little bit of billion of ISK, 10 billion ISK, and give that away over a month. And it would go to subscribers only. So they're pocketing $2,000-$3,000 a month while doing that. So CCP came out with a policy against that. iWantIsk was the same thing. So iWantIsk started doing, like someone said in the chat, 12 bankers got banned for RMT because that's what they were doing, is they were RMT. And so CCP caught on to that real quick with Twitch. So that's why we can't do subscriber-only giveaways when people ask all the time.
Yeah, but CCP's been entirely reasonable. I mean, Falcon actually came out on the Meta Show a while back and clarified the policy when it was introduced. And like, if you're doing like physical giveaways for goods and things like that, you can have those be subscriber only. But if it's an in-game good, you can't, and that seems entirely reasonable to us. Also, we just kind of got lazy. People subscribe to the channel because they want to be able to spam emotes and they want to support the group. It's not so much about like the sub-only giveaways anyway. So.
Oh yeah.
No, it's pretty interesting all the way around. Like, I'm curious to see this sort of flaming meltdown because you just have so much shit flinging going on that it's good for drama. And meanwhile, like, when it is hard to parse things, there are people like Noisy Gamer who will come in chat and can say, like, they had 12 bankers banned for RMT, and we can go, okay, well, we know that happened, regardless of all the whining back and forth. But if these guys are actually getting paid, I mean, somebody in chat was saying that they were getting paid per corpse, which sounds dumb. Somebody else told me that they were getting paid like 15 billion ISK a day. And 15 billion ISK a day is a great deal for tissue. So you know what? Good on them. The only group that seems to actually be losing from the I Want ISK drama is I Want ISK.
Exactly. There's no. I don't see any good thing for I Want ISK unless they're hoping by causing drama that people come to them more for money or something. But I don't see where they're making a positive out of this at all with anything.
Well, I mean, they're providing a positive for us, and their pride is, I guess, they think that they're doing something. We should do some let's do some partnership rookie code giveaways. We're sort of at the past the middle mark, and Asner Argent was kind enough to remind us that we were sitting up here and running our mouths rather than making it right out of the place like we should be.
So, guys, go ahead and type in chat if you haven't typed in chat already, and you have to follow the stream. If you're not following the stream, you cannot win, guys. We are giving away 3 pirate faction, or not pirate faction, pirate rookie ships. There's 4 of those, so if you win, you'll need to mail the channel, message the channel on TheMittani.com with which of the 4 frigates you want. I believe it's the Echo, Violator, Tiamat, and Immolator. Nailed it.
Okolo, you say, hate. No, there's no hate on I Want ISK. I just think it's hilarious. I think it's funny.
Kulo is the guy who is like super ass mad at the last meta show, and he was kind of entertaining for us actually. So.
Yeah, he's always nice on my shows. He comes on a lot. He watches.
He just doesn't like. I mean, you're a likable guy, and and I make eye contact. So you know.
Yeah, my eyes are always hit.
Yeah, so guys. Yeah, so I would say, guys, if you win, make sure you message the channel. We're giving away 3 pirate rookie ships. Thanks CCP for giving those the giveaway, and also a quick shout out to Blue Microphones for supporting the stream and sponsoring the channel, guys.
So since you brought up CCP, we might want to go on to our next topic there.
Oh, crap! What are we talking about next? I got totally distracted by everybody.
Skill goo.
Fear by way of making eye contact. There we go. I got a chance to actually to see it on stream here with the delay here. That's good.
Looking at yourself. That's just so great.
Yeah. So Skill goo. CCP please time. So Skill goo, guys, if they released a dev blog with a couple months ago about Skill goo, talking about realizing a conceptual idea. They just released dev blog this week saying it's going to be a thing, and they went into a little bit more detail about it. I know before the stream started, but you said you had a lot to talk about. So why don't you take us away?
Oh, this Skill goo is going to be really bad for CCP if they fuck it up, right? And so here's how it's going to be bad. So there was a thread brought up just recently where a member on our Eve, and there was like 1,000 comments about this, that he believes that in order to do the skill goo, your character should not have been banned before. It should not have been negative walleted, and it shouldn't have had there's all these different things that CCP prevents you from selling your character. Like you can't sell your character if it's a negative wallet. You can't sell your character if it's been banned before. That keeps you from cashing that character out if it's accused of RMT or any other reasons.
Right.
But with skill goo, if they don't put that with skill goo, then the person could just liquidate their character, right? They could turn that character that's 90 million skill points that's negative walleted into free skill points for all their other characters and liquidate that character off, and now it's gone.
Why is that bad though? Because from a CCP, like from a business perspective, if they're liquidating that character, you have to buy the skill injectors for Aurum, right? So if they wanna brain drain the character down, why is that bad for CCP?
Because they can use this to do it. You can use this to buy Aurum, and Aurum to get the thing.
You also,
well, that's still. I mean, when you're still like when you buy a Plex or when you buy something that is off the market that was bought from Aurum, as far as CCP's bottom line is concerned, it doesn't really matter because either you used ISK that you either weren't going to be spending that money or you're providing demand for the supply of putting Aurum and Plex out on the market there, right? That's why Plex.
Okay. See, I saw it as.
You also need to remember though that. After a certain point, you're not getting all 500,000 skill points out of it. if you look at the blog,
Yeah, there's
below 5 million skill points, you get all 500k. If you're above 5 million skill points, you only get 400. Between 5 million and 50 million, you get 400,000, and then 50 million to 80, you get 300,000, and then above 80,000, you only get 150,000 of that 500 skill points.
Right.
So it still costs you 500,000 skill points, but you can only get 150k out of that if you use those on a above.
But imagine if I was an RMT guy, right? And I just RMT'd, and my wallet went back negative like 100 billion because I bought 100 billion ISK and CCP took it away, right? That character's now useless. There's no way I'm going to replace that 100 billion legitimately unless I use real bucks, right? And so if I melt that character down, now that I just RMT'd that 100 billion, used it, went negative on that character, now the character's gone, right? And the way CCP prevents that character from being used in the future is you can't sell that character and make more money off it if it's negative wallet, right? You can't sell it. You can't get your 30 billion for selling that 100 billion-ish character until you bring the wallet positive. But if you melt the character down for skill goo and then sell the skills, the points from the skills, now you've made that 30 billion anyways, right? Because that skill,
but you'd have to throw ISK in the first place in order to buy those things.
Sure.
Right, so
but you have a character that's completely useless, worth zero nothing. It's worth nothing to you.
Yeah, it seems just kind of like an edge case.
Worth,
I mean, like in terms of RMT risk, like there might be. I mean, you could be right. I don't really know too much about like how any of that works. Despite all the yacht jokes, I actually don't really know how to RMT. However, we have Noisy Gamer here in chat, and so he can actually analyze this. I mean, my perspective on skill goos, I think it's great because my vision for this, like I've said many times before, is I want to be able to use alliance funds to buy. People that Goonswarm doesn't like off the market when they go up on sale, and then very publicly just lobotomize them and give out skill packets to our newbies. So, like, in a hypothetical scenario, here is DB Preacher, and he goes up for sale, and then live on Twitch, we melt his brain down into goo, and then just hand out 500 million and 500k skill point packets of bits of DB Preacher's brain that enrich the body politic. So I'm kind of there's a lot of fuckery involved, and I think it's good for CCP because it's a way for people to fund CCP, and people can already buy characters anyway. Like that's the other reason why these arguments against skill point trading bother me, because like already you can use Plex, i.e. open your wallet to buy a bunch of ISK legitimately using Plex, and then purchase a character with ISK. So you can already kind of buy a character that's really badass if you want to using your wallet. So that's my take on it.
It'll just be interesting to see how CCP do it. If they do it right, there'll be no positives for the bad people, and then it'll be cool because it's going to change the game, right? It's going to make it so some newbie who's got lots of money in his wallet in real life can then buy a bunch of skill points and mold a character the way he wants it. Right? He doesn't have to go buy a character for 30 billion that might not have the skills he wants. He could just make one. Yeah. And that's going to be huge. That's going to be huge for CCP. They're going to make him a lot of money.
One of the things that we used to talk about back on CSM6 all the time was the idea of a limited respec or something like that being keyed to Plex, because when the CCP would make major game changes, right, there would be something that would be an awesome ship like a Pilgrim. Back in the day, the Pilgrim spent many years being useless, and now it's actually finally not so awful. But the idea, or you change the direction of your character. You're like, I don't want to be a miner anymore. And so the idea of a limited respec was something that I was always a huge advocate for. And the nice thing about Skill is it functions almost like a limited respec. It allows you to take things off of your character sheet. It allows you to re-inject those skills back into yourself and something more useful. And I just think it's great. I think it's kind of like skins. Like, I think that skill goo and skins in general are massive revenue streams for CCP, and that they make players happy in general, and that, I still don't get, though, like, just tiny little tangent here, I still don't understand. Remember when there was a period of a couple weeks where there was that bug that you could have any skin apply to any ship? That was fantastic. You could have you could have police skins on Cinnaballs, right? It was fantastic. And, I wish that they would just flick a switch and go back to that bug and just allow you to buy every single skin for every single ship, because I think that the company would make so much money.
I disagree, because if you look at Counter-Strike, stuff like that, you have certain skins for certain guns, and the people are going to pay extra skins. Like for a knife skin, people are going to pay 10 times more for a knife skin than they're going to pay for a rifle skin, because it's more prestigious. Like it's just like I think with having unique skins for different ships, especially if it's one of the most popular ships to fly around, then it's going to influence the market that way. Whereas if every ship is for every single ship, then eventually you just have market saturation.
I suppose that makes sense. I mean, this is sort of customization is something that is not new in the games industry. So there probably is a best practice, because I don't know what the hell. Maybe they analyzed it and they came up with the decision to do that. So never mind. But who knows? But I like the idea. Yeah, Boat has got his hat back on. That is awesome. Got Captain Boat in the house, is preparing for Captain Hat is preparing for DeBoat show, which is coming up in about 10 minutes.
Yes.
Someone Steelhorse brought something up in chat. So a guy named Percy, who used to be an FCON, Percy 15504, was like an FC in FCON, went and joined these neutrals, and we were fighting a 200-man. We had a 200-man fleet, and we were fighting the Saturday. I think it
was like Spectre Fleet. We dropped on
Spectre Fleet Rome or whatever, and Spectre Fleet docked in the same station that Percy lives. He lives in Lowsec now, and it's all he does is Lowsec stuff. He undocks his Archon and joins our fleet. And instead of getting fleet warped off the station, which he was like, "Oh, I ain't that stupid." He even said that in a private chat with me. He's like, "I'm not dumb. I wasn't bored yesterday. You aren't gonna fleet warp me." We just put him in fleet and moved him around, which is allowed. So if you get moved around in a fleet, every time you switch spots in a fleet,
You can't dock.
you can't dock. So instead of just leaving fleet like a genius, instead of just dropping fleet and instantly docking because you can just drop fleet, he let us move him around for 20 minutes, and then he lost his 4 billion Archon.
And I saw the link. I saw the link of him losing it, but I didn't realize that there was that level of like TCU style hijinks.
Yeah, and the hilarious about it was the quote where he says, "I wasn't bored yesterday. You can't fool me." And then he dies anyways on the undock.
Wow.
Okay.
But I mean, the biggest thing about skill goo that I'm looking forward to is whenever I stream, I like to stream certain parts of space that I typically find kills in. But one of the things I'm looking at doing now is getting like 3 to 4 characters and positioning them in different market hubs, so I can, if I'm going roaming one place and I can't find a fight, then I can log into a different character. But what I can do with skill goo is I can actually train up those characters instead of having to buy a fully trained character, which is pretty cool. I mean, I like the aspect of it, but it's really going to be, like Noisy Gamer said, see where the market kind of situates and falls at.
Certain characters can be worth way more now, because you'll get people in bidding wars. Like, imagine if Sir Mole went on the market. I'd buy it for 100 bill just to melt it down.
Oh yeah. There would
Like
be
that
an instant, like it's the Diablo thing we're talking about earlier.
Oh yeah.
That's you're a great war criminal, and we're going to get you.
We're going to buy your character, then we're going to melt it down. So now that character no longer exists in the game. It's down to like 300,000 skill points, right?
Well, it exists, but as a drooling moron.
Yeah.
Sort of
yeah,
like
exactly.
an institutionalized foe huddled
like when we melted strikes down for Rifters or whatever. It's the same thing.
Exactly. So actually, one thing that we missed when we moved over to CCP Please that I want to jump back to is a bit of nullsec news that actually has some political consequences. So the Phoebe Freeport Republic and Brave Newbies have both relocated in Sovnol down to Aquarius, where they are rubbing shoulders with Northern Army and with Pandemic Horde, and just sort of settling in down there. And I'm not sure that they all have standing set, but the process of PFR, Phoebe Freeport Republic, moving down there and making that decision resulted in a really catastrophic slope. So the decision to move down there nearly destroyed that alliance rather than invigorating it. And now you also have Brave down there too. Brave is back in nullsec for the first time in a while, beyond just that fringe corp that had a thing in Cloud Ring. And what's going to be interesting here is it's sort of a similar situation to what we saw in Catch. So they're living next to Pandemic Legion affiliated organizations like PH, right? And Brave putting themselves in this situation again is sort of curious to me, right? It's kind of a unwise, possibly. I mean, maybe it is wise, but if you have a situation where you don't necessarily have standings, I don't know if they have standings. If somebody can say that in chat and let us know, that would be great.
The deal they have is they're not blue, but if their soft gets invaded, PL and NC Dot will come save them, right? So the deal is they're like a renter, right? They can fight each other.
They get to be content farm again.
Yeah, they get to be content farmed by Horde.
It's a new Providence.
That's just like space.
I mean, talent funnels can be hostile or they can be friendly. You can have a neutral talent funnel. But in this case, when Brave Newbies was in Catch, we saw this PL and hell, and Goonswarm obviously with Karma Fleet. We benefited massively from the failures in management there that results in one of our best organizations. Shout out to Karma Fleet as per usual. but we ended up in the situation where with Cash, you wouldn't think that Brave or PFR hasn't been in this situation before, but they are now, where they're going to be rubbing up against these people who are going to be preying on them. And I expect a lot of talent will be recruited and poached out of that. So PFR is already half gone due to the move there. And now they've put themselves in a situation where they have friendlies who have no interest in their real survival except as a talent funnel, which is great. I mean, good on Northern Army, right? And good on Pandemic Horde for doing it. I do the same. I'm just surprised that the Brave guys are, making the same mistake again.
It's almost like they're dumb enough to fall for it again. It's like same with PFR. All Horde's going to do is farm you for content, and when your members see them as a better organization, they're going to go there, right? Because they're in the same region. Why not? Whereas if you lived on the other side of Eve and were doing your own thing, I think that's why they lost so many people, is that PFR was unique. They tried something that was never done in 0-0, which was open up all their stations to everyone. Unlike CVA, their station was literally open to everyone. CVA, if they didn't like you, they would lock you out. But with Horde, I mean, you could hate them, and they would still let you in,
Well, it's kind of interesting. I mean, somebody's asking here in chat, can we go down there and get some content ourselves? Last time that we went to go bring content to the doorstep of Pandemic Horde, Gobbins got up and told everybody that he had actually rused us and planned it all along and had that panic evac back to Aquarius. So, I mean, it might be fun to try to have some content with Pandemic Horde, but, the concern, which we'd have to take very seriously, we'd have to be subtle about it, right? We would have to just have dudes show up there one day and sort of like low-scale content, because if we actually say that we're going to go get content down there and we arrive, we'll get rused again, and they'll run on day one. But that's less of a risk now, because, I mean, with, Brave and PFR and Northern Army, these guys in Aquarius, even if one of that group bolts and runs, there's still fun. Unfortunately, we don't have an organization that could do that kind of thing. Such an organization within the Imperium doesn't exist and is never spoken of, so there's absolutely no possibility of us doing that in the near future. So unfortunately, I have to disappoint all of our watchers. It's what a pity.
What a pity.
So, CSM drama, because we're running out of time.
Oh, we have somebody who's really angry. That's awesome. Somebody in chat is calling me. I was talking about, don't be shady, be a lady, don't throw shade, and now my heterosexuality is going to be questioned in chat. I don't really know whether I'm going to be able to handle this, though. I'm gonna go cry in a corner now. But yeah, CSM drama. Do we want to hit this real quick?
I mean, we hit it last week. I mean, we can briefly go over it again in our last few minutes.
Yeah. I think what we want to do here, like the CSM stuff, Major J. Silva wrote a pretty damn awesome article here that I'll go ahead and link in chat, sort of talking about sort of the sneaky attempts to adjust the white paper. We talked about it actually at the Imperium's first Fireside Chat, which was last Sunday, and of course, again, this Sunday, guys, if you're in the Imperium, you are all going to get an opportunity to yak, as usual. This will be a weekly thing we do tomorrow. But I think what we'll probably want to do is see, I don't know whether his schedule will work out for it, but like if the CSM nonsense develops, we should probably bring somebody like Thoric on as a guest next week. I'll reach out to him, or Sion will reach out to him. Mm-hmm. And probably have a whole thing where we grind into it, because it's sort of like gritty, complicated, silly drama with lots of obfuscation.
It's an interesting play by CCP. I've never seen them, like, you'd think they'd be more open to especially affiliate groups. It's like, hey, you're an affiliate, that means you really play EVE a lot, so you must have a big interest in this game. But I mean,
it's a very targeted definition.
Tough one.
Basically, it's Scion is bad and Scion is scary, and this is the thing that we're seeing repeated from a whole bunch of people: is that Scion is bad and Scion is scary, and booga booga Scion, ooh, be scared, who is actually an extremely nice, polite robot for anybody who's actually met Scion. Half the people are attacking Scion because they won't just attack me. Which, what is this? Is it I shave my goatee off and then suddenly people won't come at me? I don't get it.
Noisy Gamer. Actually, Scion had Digi hack CCP and inserted that language so Mittens couldn't gulp him into running again. True story.
It is probably true, actually, because, I don't think that Scion, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so if they do go through all this time and effort to try to cheese a way to ban Scion from the CSM because they can't handle him for whatever reason, or they're afraid of him, then he has more time to work as my chief of staff. And okay, and then they get Aerith and Zenuria, which, by the way, is Zenuria 2016. If you want to talk to Zenuria, if you're curious about Zenuria, you can either talk to Zenuria in Elysium, where he's there all the time and extremely engaging and very intelligent, or if you are not part of the Imperium, you can find Zenuria on CSM or in the general channel on Tweetfleet Slack, which is a platform that we highly approve of in this day and age. And you know, if you want to talk to him about CSM issues and things like that, he will talk your ear off because he cares more and is more detail oriented than probably any CSM candidate that you'll find outside of the top tier block candidates. So yeah, there you go. Go nuts. Zenuria 2016. It's happening.
With that, guys, we're pretty much out of time. Guys, coming up next is the boat show. So the Big Red Boat, you had him for this hour. We're going to give him for another hour. And I believe his guest for today is Raph About It, which is an awesome Twitch streamer as well. Also, guys, in about 3 hours, I'm doing I hit 1K followers this week, so I'm doing a drunk stream to commemorate that.
Awesome. Try not to die this time, like, please. Like, I was really worried.
No promises. You gotta give what the people want.
That's true. You gotta be an entertainer. That's awesome.
So, guys, big shout out again to Blue Microphones for supporting the streams here at TMC, CCP for our giveaways, and all you guys for tuning in. Coming up next, guys, the boat show, and we'll see you guys next weekend.
Small break because you
bye.
immediately turn around and start streaming the boat show.
Oh no, yeah, no break
Boat
needed.
show.
I'm ready to go all the time.
You're ready? You're ready?
Oh
You're gonna
yeah,
do
I'm
it?
always ready.
All right, man. Guys, for turning.
You
thanks,
are
guys.
about to receive
Keep watching, and Boat will be
messages that
back.
may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the meta. The meta controls everything. The meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching The Meta Show.